We've got a little bit about Glimpse. It's a system that drags in data from all your shopping cart, warehouse, offices, factories, from all your call centers, and it brings in online stuff from your analytics and everything, transforms it into Cloud Data Cube, and presents it on a laptop through Power BI or Tableau. And just that's the shortest explanation I've ever provided, but follow up with this to learn more. This is a couple of the dashboards we're going to look at today. Their contact center summary and a contact center resource planning, which is a what if type dashboard. But just to, before we go into our live demo, I want to show you some of the, just the simple insights that these things provide. Because they have modeling behind them. They have intelligence and they have modeling behind them that point out things that are important. So here we've seen some post-call wrap stuff. We've got some basic statistics about where the customers are coming from by city and location with this synthetic data set that we're using. And we also look at Net Promoter Score by issue severity. Okay, so those are standard statistics, but now we've got counts of customers by tier. We've got changes over time in the Net Promoter Score. We've got some statistics that have to do with issue severity and productivity and manager information. And finally, when we look here, we're looking at the average type of issue severity as it changes, as we see it between the on-site, remote, and hybrid situations. So these are things that just jump out where there's a relatively important factors and there's unimportant factors. So these are even called out here. For example, on the issue severity, it says there's relative even issue severity by work location. So that tells us we're not really having one problem at home and one problem on site. So that's good to know, so we can exclude that from our concern, and then we can look for things that do have impact. So now let's take a quick look at a live dashboard. This will be from the web. Here we have a contact summary. Up here we have selectors that let us look at channels, at case age, Net Promoter Score reported, and this is dealing with historical data and across all channels and all work groups and work locations and issue types. We're seeing a Net Promoter Score of 6.7 on a scale of 0 to 10, a service level of just under 80%, which is sort of okay. Depends. It's not really what you'd want. You want to see higher. I don't know whether these guys are on an 80-30 or an 90-60, but doesn't matter. Service level is service level. So here we have 4,000 cases that were handled, that were sampled for this data set, and our average handling time is 15 minutes. So we have widgets here that can be adjusted, changed, but we have cases opened and service level by date. We have a service level history and NPS by date. We have channels, and over here, the most interesting chart is the cases, number of cases, which is indicated by the circumference of the circle and the time of day, ranging from 0 to 24 hours, and then days of the week, 0 through 6. So, and if I do want to narrow down to just one date range or one particular thing, I can just actually click on it and all the numbers adjust to that. So that's one beautiful thing about Glimpse dashboards. It's always true. If I want to look at Sunday night at 8 o'clock, I can click on Sunday night, 8 o'clock, and then I get all my statistics for Sunday night at 8 o'clock. So I really know what's going on at that time of day. It's pretty interesting because it does affect the service level. The service level actually went up, and here it goes up on that particular date. So then I can look for days when there are lower service levels as well. So let's look at some of these things. Everything's been reset. Let me go ahead and show you. Let's look at calls for one thing. And let's look here, first of all, at what it looks like when we have a Net Promoter Score below 5. Okay, so we've got a low, the average below 5 is 211. Service level is good, but the abandon rate's very high, so that may contribute. The speed of answers, okay. There were 263 cases opened across this time frame, which is indicated here. And we see the first contact resolution is the FCR is only 40.7%, and the average handle time is huge. Yeah. It's ginormous. So I'm sure that contributes to why we have a terrible Net Promoter Score. But let's look at the contrast to that. Let's say we want to know what was the customer experience when the Net Promoter Score reported was good? Well, service level's acceptable. It's not awesome, but it's 82. Speed of answer is quick. There are a lot of cases there. First call resolution is pretty good. Handle time is way down from 74 minutes down to 18 minutes. So that's intuitively, it looks good. Now let's go back and deselect that and just to say across all Net Promoter Scores, does the work group have any effect? Let's just pick a work group and let's look at bulk, 84% net team. There's another team called specialized. I'm not seeing much difference. Industrial products, much difference, still a little bit, but generally speaking, the work groups are performing sort of about the same. Okay, let's look at work locations, and this is important. Let's look at the on-site people. They're having a 63% FCR, and abandon rate's only 13%. Let's look at home. People working from home, and there we are. Abandon rate 13%, 63%. So we're doing sort of okay in both locations, so that's not a tremendous issue for us right now. And let's select all locations, but let's look at the training group and let's look at highest FCR here. We have two different training groups. One of them we put through 5 weeks of training. The other one went through a 9-week graduated course. The 5-week people are showing a 64% first contact resolution, and the 9-week people are at 59. So they're sort of similar, but a little bit different. And so then we can make some decisions about, let's see, 5 weeks is at 64. Let's see that. And the 9 weeks is at 59. Doesn't look like the extra weeks paid off at all in terms of first contact resolution. Net Promoter Score 6.75 there. Maybe that's an issue. 5 weeks, no. So the extra training doesn't appear to have been worth the money. So that's pretty good.
You're making the finance guy happy. He's calling already saying, cut that extra 4 weeks.
Exactly. So good. Now, finally, let's see if I can squeeze over to, let's look at resource planning. Let me reset everything to scratch here, and we'll go over to our planning dashboard, which is pretty cool. In the resource planning dashboard, we have the capability here to let ourselves increase the number of cases here from 8,000 cases to 12,000 cases. And we see our service level. Let's see if that changes or not. See if that's in the model. Everything here is modeled based on statistical information gathered. So we build statistical relationships and then we bring those forward into the resource planning model. Now this model is intelligent. It learns over time, so the model gets more refined the more cases we handle. And let's take the cases open again up to 150%. And I see the abandon rate went way up to 23.9%. So how many agents with this model would I have to get to drop this down to where it was? Nope. I believe the number is 30. I've done this before. Yeah, we have to go up to about 30 agents to get that. So we have to more than double the number of agents we have to reduce the abandon rate. So that tells us something about the way we're working right now. It's not efficient. That we wouldn't certainly want to have to double the number of agents we have just to handle 50% more calls. So we want to go back in and look at our methods, look at our post-call wrap, any kind of other features that we have. Maybe there's something calls aren't getting routed to the right groups. There's going to be something in there. And finally, let me bring this back down to our starting 12 agents, and let's go with our existing 100% cases open. I want to look at the effect of dead air time. As we've learned right now, we've got 0 dead air time built into the model, and Net Promoter Score at 9. And if I increase this up to 28 minutes, I see a huge effect there. So 15 minutes, 8 minutes, that's a lot of dead air time. So minute for minute, it looks like the range between, between 0 and 5 minutes is deadly for average net promoter score. So that's a good coaching point there. It tells us what we think. There's lots more in here. There's many insights in the graphics shown here, and we can produce additional graphics as we go. So just an idea of a simple model that we've built to demonstrate what we can do with Glimpse, and we can connect Glimpse to all the current data sources in the industrial world. And
I did want to say too, on that data airtime example, you did see that cost per call went up, and a lot of times that's associated with things that agents have to do to sort of interact with the whatever CRM system you're using. And so, as far as looking forward to saying, do I invest in a new CRM system, you could use that resource planning to say, does the cost per call reduction, if I reduce this to the target, sort of pay for investing in that system? And or if it doesn't immediately, sort of what is the payback? So you can start modeling those based on real data.
Yeah, and you can actually then trigger an investigation into what's actually happened with the agent when he says, hang on, I got to look up something. Maybe there's some simple automation that could be done to do some extra screen pops or additional research, or to reset a customer setting, something or other that could be done quickly with a one button push, rather than a lot of research or ask another agent for help.
Yeah, and to that point too, when you actually, in the contact center, go to finance to try to justify that, you would have some payback models based on the data that you could go back and prove to them. This is sort of why we are asking for this investment.
Mm-hmm.
That always works a lot better.